Yahushua wait, come to take the throne. To conquer world powers, bring Jacob home. I'm quarterbacking like Jake DeLome, like Mount Rushmore. I got a face of stone.
I want to say, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, and that's all praises to the Heavenly Father, and who the world ended up calling Jesus Christ. And today, I just want to kind of go into very briefly, you know, the Feast of Firstfruits. We just had Feast of Firstfruits yesterday. Now, of course, you know, we had some brothers, you know, they had to work and whatnot. Our schedule was conflicted, so we're going to meet up, and today we're going to celebrate it, right? But before we celebrate it, hey, how you doing, sister? Right,
Sisters.
Before we celebrate it, you know, I feel like it's necessary to understand the actual commandment, and also its dual, I guess you could say it's parallels or its types and anti-types within it, right? Because we know the Most High God, you know, He's allowed everything. His scripture is spiritual. You know, of course, it has physical. It has a physical meaning to it. But we also can glean. We also can glean a spiritual context behind it as well, right? So give me Numbers chapter 28, verse 26, and Exodus 34, verse 22. So what we're going to do, we're going to first just look at the plain commandment of what that is talking about, the Feast of Firstfruits. Right? You got that number?
Book of Numbers, chapter 28, verse 26. Also, in the day of first fruits, when ye bring a new meat offering unto Yahweh.
So in the day of first fruits, we're supposed to be bringing a meat offering unto the Most High God. Go ahead.
After your weeks be out, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work.
So that's the Sabbath as well. So just how we observe the weekly Sabbath, we observe the Feast of Firstfruits the same way. We're not buying, we're not selling, you know, we're not lighting the fire in our homes. You know, we're trying to rehearse those righteous acts exactly how the Most High God commanded us to in regards to the weekly Sabbath as well. You don't know? You got that.
Exodus 34 and 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest.
So the Feast of Firstfruits is also known as the Feast of Weeks, also known as as Pentecost as well. Go ahead.
And the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
And the Feast of Ingathering. So what that's basically talking about, at the beginning of the springtime, that first fruits that come up, and we glean that, we sanctify that to the Most High God, and also the last gathering of the first fruits, we're going to glean that and give it to the Most High God as well, right? So Exodus chapter 23, verse 16. Exodus 23, 16, and back up 13 and 13.
This is Exodus 23 and 16. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field.
Say that again, which you have what?
Thou hast sown in the field.
All right. So remember that. Keep that in your mind. Just read that from the top again.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field.
Which we have sown in our field, right? So it should be kind of jogging your memory that, you know, this sounds kind of familiar to a parable that Yahushua gave us, right? Go ahead.
And the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
Right. So we sow in something. That's how the Most High God sowed something into Israel, and He's expecting some type of return out of it. He's expecting some type of gathering or first fruits out of Israel, out of Yahshua. You got that in Matthew 13:38? We're going to see what this field is that the Most High God is actually sowing in, right?
But the Matthew chapter 13, verse 38. The field is the world.
So the field is the world, right? Go ahead.
The good seed are the children of the kingdom.
The good seed is the children of the kingdom. So the Most High God, who's the children of the kingdom? That's the Israelites. That's the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. So the Most High God has planted His seed inside of Yahshua. So He's expecting some type of first fruits from us, right? You got that in Isaiah 5?
Isaiah 5 and 7. This is Isaiah 5 and 7. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts.
So what's a vineyard? A vineyard is something that it's a plain. It's some type of terrain that you plant seeds in, right? So let's see what this vineyard is.
It's the house of Israel.
So the vineyard of the Lord is the house of Israel. So he plants seeds in us, expecting fruit to come out of it. So through this lesson, we're going to see what the seed was, and we're going to see what the fruit is, and we're going to see who's going to be gathering, who's going to be reaping. Go ahead.
And the men of Judah, his pleasant plant.
And the men of Judah, his pleasant plant.
And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression.
Right.
For righteousness, but behold, a cry.
So of course, you know, the Most High God is planting a seed inside of us, but yet, you know, if you look at the history of our forefathers and even us today, we still messing up, you know? So we're rebellious, we're bearing bad fruit, but the Most High God, he's got to select for a bunch of the crop that's actually producing good fruit. Shalom.
Yo, shalom. Yeah, what's in this fucking time? Hold up, man. No call, no nothing, man. Hold on.
It's a lot.
I want to teach them.
You got one?
This is Jeremiah 2 and 3. Israel.
I got that later. Yeah. Good. All right, go ahead. So let's read that again. We got a little distracted. Isaiah 5 and 7.
This is Isaiah 5 and 7. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
So the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, right? So just how in Exodus 23, when he says whatever we've sown in our fields to bring our increase unto the Most High God, of course we're not bringing it to God himself, but we're bringing it to his priests, right? The Levites. Go ahead.
It says, and the men of Judah, his pleasant plant.
And the men of Judah, his pleasant plant. Go ahead.
And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry.
So what did he plant? What did he plant inside the vineyard? Usually what you plant inside the vineyard is a seed, right? Right? Go ahead.
The book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 11. Now the parable is this. The seed is the word of the Most High.
So the seed is the word of the Most High God. What was the word of the Most High God given to Israel? Anybody? What was the word that was given to us? The commandments, right? The law. When did he give that to us? That's right. Exodus 20, right? Go ahead.
This is 2nd Exodus 3 and 17. And it came to pass. Verse 19.
Oh, yeah.
Verse 17.
Good.
And it came to pass that when thou leddest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai.
So when we were coming out of Egypt, the Most High God, he put us in Mount Sinai, well, in the wilderness at Mount Sinai. So this story is basically telling you, you know, what was happening during the time of when we were at Mount Sinai. Go ahead.
And that's the seed of Jacob, by the way.
The seed of Jacob.
Verse 18. And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. And thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold.
So it's just basically talking about God's miraculous and majestical appearance when he comes upon Mount Sinai.
That thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob.
When he gave the law unto the seed of Jacob. Now we understood from Isaiah chapter 5 verse 7 that Israel, that's his vineyard, right? So he's planting something inside of us. So he expects some type of fruits, right? Go ahead.
And diligence unto the generation of Israel. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart.
So he still didn't take away a wicked heart from us. Even though he was giving us that law, that's why we read in Isaiah chapter 5, he says that even though we're his vineyard, that we're still oppressing our own kinsmen. Judgment was still slack in the land of Israel, right? That's because he didn't take away that wicked heart from us, even though he gave us that law. But we know that wicked heart is going to be totally done away with when we come into the new covenant. Go ahead.
That thy law might, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
Law might bring forth what?
That thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
So his law might bring forth fruit in them. We're celebrating the Feast of Firstfruits. This is what the Most High God planted inside of Yahshua. He planted his law inside of us, so he expected fruit from the works of the law and also faith in Yahweh. Right? Is that it on that? Yeah, he's got 7 minutes. Get back to 7.
This book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 29. O Yahweh, thou that shewest thyself unto us, thou wast shewed unto our fathers in the wilderness, in a place where no man treadeth, in the barren place when they came out of Egypt.
So he's basically just kind of reiterating what he said in chapter 3. Go ahead.
And thou spakest, saying, Hear me, O Israel, and mark my words, thou seed of Jacob. For behold, I sow my law in you.
So what?
My law in you.
And so what do we do when we're in our land? We actually sow seeds, right, in the actual ground, and we reap from that ground the first fruits of our labors. So God is planting something inside of Yasharallah, which is his law. Well, go ahead.
And ye shall be honored in it forever.
Read that again.
I sow my law in you.
So the law, which is his seed inside of us. Go ahead.
And it shall bring fruit in you.
It shall bring fruit in you. It shall bring fruit in you. And if you actually look at the period or the timeline, actually our first celebration of first fruits was actually around the same time when he gave us the law at Mount Sinai. You see the types and anti-types in it? Go ahead.
This is Matthew 7:19. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down.
It's hewn down. So if you're not bringing forth the works and faith in Yahushua, you're going to be hewn down. And what's going to happen to you?
And cast into the fire.
Cast into the fire. Go ahead.
Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them.
By their fruits you shall know them. This is when Yahushua comes back, and he comes back with his mighty angels. They're going to be looking down upon the children of men, especially upon Yasharallah, and seeing, okay, that cluster, yeah, that's a good cluster right there. Those people, they're producing fruit. So let me take them up in my barns, in the chariots, right? And this other group right here, y'all not producing no good fruit, man. So you're going to be burnt up right along with Esau. You know? Get Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, verse 10. First Peter 25. Because we understand, like right now, we're not in our own land. We don't have a temple, right? So we can't actually take I live in an apartment. I ain't got no farm, so I can't plant nothing. So how am I actually going to celebrate the Feast of First Fruits correctly? We can't do it right now. We can't do it. So this is why, first and foremost, how y'all sisters doing? Good. What's your nationality?
We black.
Black? What's your father? All right. So, no, not yet. What I have? Leviticus 23. Yeah, Leviticus 23. So, yeah, so what I was basically saying is that that we offer the Most High God our spiritual sacrifices right now because we don't have a physical temple. Because we're going to get later on that we're actually going to be keeping the Feast of First Fruits in the kingdom of heaven. Right? So, get that Leviticus real quick.
It's Leviticus 23 and 15.
Oh, start at verse 10.
Verse 10. It says, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Unto who?
The priest.
Unto the priest. So we're going to bring our first fruits unto the priest. Well, we don't have priests nowadays. Now we understand through biblical prophecy, you know, and archaeology. Yeah, we understand through biblical prophecy that the so-called Levites. The Haitians. That they are Levitical priests. But once again, we don't have an actual temple, to offer these first fruits unto them. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Give me 1 Peter.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 2 and verse 5. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house.
So he's talking about the Israelites. We're lively stones, and we're built up to a spiritual house. We're doing what in that spiritual house? Or that spiritual temple? Go ahead.
And holy priesthood.
A holy priesthood. Go ahead.
To offer up spiritual sacrifices.
So we offer up spiritual sacrifices unto who?
Acceptable unto the Most High by Yahushua HaMashiach.
Acceptable unto Yahushua HaMashiach. We understand through the scriptures that Yahushua, he is our priest. Right? And we are lost my train of thought. Yeah, we're building up read that again. Read that first.
Book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 5. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to the Most High by Yahweh Shai HaMashiach.
Right, so we give our spiritual sacrifices to Yahweh Shah, to the priests. That's how we're supposed to do at the Feast of First Fruit in our land. We give our first fruits unto the priests. Read that in Hebrews.
Hebrews 4:14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens,
Right. So
Yahweh Shai, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession.
right, so Yahweh Shah, he's our great high priest that passed into the heavens. Right?
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 9.
So understanding that we are sons of the Most High God, He expects us to still bring those first fruits unto Him, right? But we understand that this is a spiritual connotation these days that we're living in.
Honor Yahweh with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase.
So we honor Yahweh with our first fruits and all the go ahead. What was that?
Of all thine increase.
Of all of our increase, right? Something that's coming out of the law. You got that in Luke?
This is Luke 10:1. After these things, the Lord appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 and 2 before his face into every city and place.
Because we're supposed to be looking for good fruit to give unto the Most High. But what's this good fruit that we're looking for? The good fruit that's being produced from our brothers and from our sisters, right?
Whither he himself would come. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great.
The harvest is great. There's a lot of Israelites out here that's actually producing fruit nowadays. Go ahead.
But the laborers are few.
But the laborers are few. Few people actually coming out here in the street corners, man, and doing the work of God and presenting these people unto Him. Go ahead.
Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest.
This needs to be our prayer now. Like, Lord, let there be more harvesters. Let there be more laborers out here to come do the work so we can offer up these first fruits unto you. These are the true fruit. Of course, you know, our actual crops, yeah, that's the fruit as well. But y'all are the real fruit. We're supposed to be presenting y'all to the Most High God. We're the laborers. You got that in Jeremiah 2?
The book of Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 3. Okay. Israel was holiness unto Yahweh, and the first fruits of his increase.
So Israel, we're his first fruits of his increase. What I was trying to tell y'all, y'all are actually the first fruits. Of course the crops, that's one thing, but y'all are more his first fruits. That the priest is going to come collect upon his arrival.
All that devour him shall offend.
So whoever devours you, who's ever eaten deliciously off the Israelites, what's going to happen?
Evil shall come upon them.
Evil shall come upon them. But why? Because the Most High God's supposed to be enjoying his fruits. But Esau's enjoying y'all right now. Esau's plucking y'all off one by one. Go ahead.
Say Yahweh.
Saith the Lord. Saith the Most High God. Go ahead. What you got?
Hebrews 10 and verse 24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and the good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
Yes. So like the brother brought out in here, as we see the great and dreadful day of the Lord coming, we're supposed to be provoking each other to good works, which is the good fruits, the reapings or the doings of the law, and having faith in Yahweh Shah. You got that in
the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 23. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit.
So we have the first fruits of the Spirit. We have the first fruits of the Spirit. What do we do with the first fruits of the Spirit?
Even we ourselves, grown within ourselves, waiting for the adoption to wit the redemption of our body.
So if you have the first fruits of the Spirit, right, you're going to be in the Spirit. You're going to be groaning inside yourself. Lord, come redeem me out of this place. Redeem me out of this dry and desolate wilderness. This soil is infertile, man. Babylon is about to burn up, right? So we're groaning within ourselves, man, to hurry up and get about this place when you're in the spirit, right? And Galatians 5:22 tells us the fruit of the spirit. Get that? Galatians 5:22. You need to ride.
Who do you rap?
I got you. I got you. Galatians 5:22. So this is the fruits of the spirit. This is how you know if you're in the spirit or not.
The book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right. So all those things that the brother just mentioned about what the fruits of the Spirit is, these are all things that we can find within the Most High God's law. Right? What do you say? Upon these two hangs this. Loving the Most High God with all your heart, and then having love for your brothers and for your sisters. That's how you know you operate in the fruits of the Spirit. So when Most High God, when Yahweh looks down upon His world, when He comes to collect, these fruits and to bind the tares, He's gonna look down at you, hopefully, and me, hopefully. These people keeping the law. They have faith in me. Let me accept them. Let me put them in my bar. James 1:18.
This is James 1:18. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
So we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures, man. We're talking about first fruits. We celebrate the feast of first fruits, but we're the first fruits. Let's not get our eyes off the big picture here. Make sure you ain't got no blemishes within yourself. Examine yourself before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, so you may have an escape. Say, Lord, I pray I'm not a bad apple. If I am, get this bruise off of me. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 15.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 20. But now is the Mashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruit of them that slept.
So Yahweh, when he rose from the grave, he was the first fruit to do that. Why? Showing you that he was the anti-type. Well, he's the type of what you were going to be. Because he produced the fruits of the Most High God. He kept the law, statutes, and commandments, right? That's how we're supposed to be doing, right? So when he came out of that grave, showing you what you're going to be doing if you're walking in the same steps that he's walking in. So he was the first one to do this. Go ahead.
Verse 23, but every man in his own order, Hamashiach the first fruits, afterward that they are Hamashiachs at his coming.
So whoever is in Christ, and who's ever producing the same type of fruits that Christ produced, we're going to be the first fruits from the creation. We're going to be the first fruits to pop out of this grave as well. Right? You got that Revelation 14:4?
Revelations 14:4. These are they which were not defiled with woman.
So this is talking about the elect. In particular, 144,000.
For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb.
So the elect, they were redeemed, being what?
The first fruits.
The first fruits. All throughout the scriptures, we still find the feast of first fruits happening, man. We still find the first fruits. This is something that's heavy on the Most High God's account. Yeah, Jeff, we're all right to that. Yeah. And skip down to verse 14.
This is Jeremiah Salak. This is Revelations 14:14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle.
A sharp sickle. Go ahead.
And another.
What do you do with a sickle? What does a farmer do with a sickle? A sickle. He reaps. What is he reaping? He's reaping the first fruits, man. The Bible already told you that you're the first fruits of God, so he's going to be reaping, man. Go ahead.
And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle.
So this angel's telling telling Yahweh, thrust in the sickle. For what?
And reap.
And reap.
For the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe.
The harvest of the earth is ripe, right? And Yahushua already told us that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So we need to be reaping too and giving back to Yahushua. What you got? Yeah, you bring it up. Yeah.
This is Mark 4:26. And he said, so is the kingdom of God, as if a man should cast seed into the ground, and should sleep, and rise night and day. And the seed should spring and grow up, he knoweth not how. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear.
So we understand that, you know, after reading 2nd Ezra 3 and 2nd Ezra 9, that seed, and also Luke 8 and 11, talking about to have the seed as the law and as the word of God, right? And we also understand that, you know, there's actually a physical thing that's happening here, talking about the seed of men, you know, spermos, you know, so the children of the kingdom, people that's descended from Jacob, and also people that's descended from these other nations, especially particularly about Esau, because he's our enemy that particularly raped, robbed, and murdered our ancestors in slavery. But to glean another understanding from this scripture is also, you can also look at it as in a way how God planted his seed in Yasharallah, right? And so we're going to be reaping or producing fruit from that law, and then also children of the world, children of Esau, man, they don't have God's laws on their hearts, right? So they're not producing no fruit, you know? Go ahead.
But when the fruit is brought forth, immediately he putteth in the sickle, because the harvest is come.
Oh, what you just said.
All right, this is Hebrews 5, verse 12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Right? So that's talking about the growth of the pretty much the fruit that's supposed to be growing until that sickle comes, pretty much. Right? And it's pretty much talking about how pretty much we have to be exercised by the word of God, specifically there, the first principles of the oracles of God, until that time comes to where like it's quite noticeable that, okay, this is it, this is the first fruits, right?
Right.
It's not going to be a mystery.
Right. So just how you cast out, you know, fertilizer and plant food, you know, in the ground to help those foods absorb those nutrients, that's what this word of God is, man. You know, he planted seed inside of us. You know, we're the soil, so we need to eat up the nutrients. And where we get our milk and our nutrients from? They actually got this plant food called milk, right? You know, so this is our milk, right? And once we get weaned off the milk, then we start eating the heavier things, right? So we grow up into a full, mature plant. Okay. Yeah. So to show you that we still gonna be celebrating the Feast of Firstfruits in New Jerusalem in the kingdom, right? Because of course you got Christians saying that, you know, this law is done away with, but it's not done away with because it's gonna be in the kingdom. So go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 20 and verse 40. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 20, verse 40. For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain
What's the Lord's holy mountain? Anybody? Huh? Jerusalem, right? New Jerusalem, the kingdom. So are we there yet? No. So this shows you that this is kingdom connotation. Go ahead.
In the mountain of the height of Israel, saith Yahweh power, there shall all the house of Israel, all them in the land serve me.
Right.
There will I accept them, and there will I require your offerings and the first fruits of your oblations.
And your first fruits of your oblations. So we still gonna be keeping the Feast of Firstfruits in the kingdom. right? So the law ain't done away with. We're going to be keeping the Feast of Pentecost, or the Feast of Firstfruits, the Passover, and all other laws, man. You know, so get used to it. Rehearse the righteous acts. You know, so that's simple. So with that, I want to say shalom.